Hello and welcome to another Overlord lore video, and today we will take a look at how Re-Estize City, the capital of the Kingdom of Re-Estize, was destroyed. But before we do so, I say thanks to my Patreons for supporting this channel. Now before I start, I have to correct one thing. While Prince Zanek was dressed in the armor of Gazav, or rather the Guardian armor, one of the kingdom's 5 treasures, he didn't have had Razor's Edge with him. Brain Anglaus did, and he later handed it to Renna. For some reason I believe that Brain Anglaus had somehow taken Razor's Edge onto himself, but neglected to take the armor because of the dead prince still inside of it. Now speaking of the dead prince, after Zanek's death and the destruction of the 400,000 strong royal army, what little remained of the kingdom's troops and citizens had hauled up inside the city, awaiting the final push of the Sorcerer Kingdom. And this coup de grace began with the assault of Aura Bella Fiora and her beasts. Now this is the perfect time to examine the difference in power between the Floor Guardians and the average city guard, or rather where the difference in power comes from and why it matters. Normally if one elite soldier is confronted with, let's say, 10 peasants armed with spears, the elite soldier might simply be overwhelmed. No matter how proficient or strong he is, there's only so much difference armor training and experience can make. Simply said, the more you train, the less you gain. 10 normal soldiers will be able to absolutely annihilate one elite soldier, simply by virtue of number. Therefore, if both cost the same amount of money to recruit and train, it's much more beneficial to field more soldiers of less quality if they are able to beat less soldiers of superior quality. However, in Overlord there's no such thing as a diminishing return for training, only a level cap at 100. And as far as the Elven Twins are concerned, they have reached it, and were created and armed by one of the most proficient players in all of Yggdrasil, Aura, Mare and Cocytus, representing an extreme concentration of force, without of the usual disadvantages that come with it. To Mare it does not matter if there are 10,000 people in the area of his next earthquake or 20,000 people. After his attack hits, all of the commoners, noblemen and soldiers will be buried and crushed. And to illustrate this point further, in modern military operation there's a limit on how many soldiers per square kilometer are effective. With automatic weapons, artillery, grenades, and the modern military apparatus in general, you can't concentrate an unlimited number of soldiers in one spot. Well, you can, but it wouldn't be effective, but easy prey for grenades, artillery, rocket launchers, and just good old-fashioned rapid fire. But with levels, this is very different. One level 100 Floor Guardian could probably kill 100 Homunculi mates without any problems, oftentimes in a single stroke, despite both forces having the same amount of levels allocated, and therefore the same costs in training, as far as Nezarick was concerned back in Yggdrasil. And Mare could probably kill thousands of level 1 beings with just one earthquake. In fact, cross out probably. He had done this, and on a much greater scale at that. So therefore, instead of training 100 level 1 warriors, it's much more cost effective to train one level 100 Floor Guardian, because each additional level allocated to a person raises his combat effectiveness to an even larger degree than the previous one. But while this level acquisition in Yggdrasil was more or less easy, and creating one level 100 Floor Guardian or 100 level 1 NPC warriors came at the same cost, then in the New World reaching the level of 20 is the utmost limit most New Worlders have. The reason for the disproportionate effectiveness of higher level is rooted in the disproportionate effort that it takes to add another level if you have already amassed a few of them. Look at Fludaparadein, look at Evil Eye. Both had been alive for over hundreds of years, and yet they can barely compare to the battle mates. This in practice means that an army of 100,000 soldiers, with levels ranging from 1 to 10, would struggle with overcoming the city wall, since the defensive buildings are specifically meant to keep out low-level beings, while Aura, who by comparison represents just 100 levels, can jump up on the city wall like a mountain goat. Insert Splat flashback here. And while Aura is powerful on her own, her true power lies in her ability to control powerful beasts. which not only makes her an army annihilating force, but the leader of a couple of monsters able to destroy armies as individual units. For example, Aura's pet Godzilla can kill surrounding low-level troops with just a roar alone. It's like the 10th tier of the dreaded death sneeze. Naturally, the Floor Guardians, while being able to kill normal soldiers like a firestorm, could roast flies. They are high-class commanders, and thus they weren't just sent to slaughter the population of Re-Estize, but to fulfill a couple of side quests. For once, Ooal Lane Audle's demon statue / first attempt at recreating a world item was still inside of the capital, and Aura, being a good girl, was about to repossess it. While targeting the Magician Guild of Re-Estize, to her surprise, no magic caster was present inside. Instead, a warrior for some reason keen on fighting certain death incarnated in the form of an elven ranger was present instead. Now naturally, the heroic swordmaster Rester Cloth de Leufin tried to stop her, since she was a subordinate of the Sorcerer King, but before that he attempted to make a long-winded shonen-esque speech about his life, his motives, his background, and why he is here now. But pages are limited, and so is Aura's patience. After barely getting out one sentence, he was shot down with one of Aura's arrows. And while Aura was fulfilling her fetch quest, Mare was leveling the cityscape, but not in a nice way. And we actually received a bit of insight into his thought process. Mare believes his creatress would actually enjoy it if he was able to kill as many humans as possible with a single earthquake, and he was very thankful for Ainz encouraging words and his patience after Mare failed to eradicate other towns with just one single attack. And so he resolved to commit mass murder in the most adorable and cost-effective way possible. It's interesting what a bit of negative karma can make for a difference, especially when compared to Cocytus. But before the total destruction of the cityscape had taken place, Brain Anglaus, in a last-ditch effort to even temporarily halt the advance of Cocytus, one of the Floor Guardians, dueled with him and actually managed to shift his course and delay him for a few seconds. Though this happened out of respect for his determination as a warrior, and not because he would be able to actually harm or delay him. And while Klein was busy hiding the crown of Re-Estize, Ainz, the actual Ainz, had taken over the palace, and soon after he was personally holding up his deal with the devil, and I'm referring to Renner for once and not Demiurge here, patiently awaiting the return of the loyal dog. And all of these characters will get a video of their very own, analyzing their journey, or at least the end of it. But for now it is sufficient to know that Renner pulled a "What are you doing, daughter?"
Succeeding you.
And killed King Ramposa, while Ainz soon after had taken out Climb and gained Razor's Edge and his wild magic ring. After that we switch perspective and get to experience the complete conquest from the point of view of one of the few lucky survivors, Marquis Raven, after barely escaping with his life from one of the Black Goats. He was not only shaken to the core but probably realized, well before everybody else, how unwinnable a war against the Sorcerer Kingdom is, and how he really would like to stay alive in order to see his kids grow up. And these were excellent depositions for the Sorcerer Kingdom to blackmail, or rather spare him. The Marquis of Ilibera and the surrounding lands were kept alive as useful tools, including all of his minor nobles, subordinates, and the commoners. So there's actually a bit of population left to farm and manage the surrounding land. And in order to hammer home the message of "don't step out of line," Raven and his entourage were invited to see with their very own eyes what happened if you provoke the Sorcerer King's wrath. Walking to a corridor leading to the rubble that was once called Capital City, Raven and the rest arrived at the palace, and upon a ruinous moment rested the crown of the royal bloodline, symbolizing the total defeat of king and country. And after witnessing this, Raven desperately hoped that some sort of hero would rise up and slay Ainz, thus ending his reign. And maybe Momon will do so at the end of Volume 17, thus allowing Ainz to travel the lands while the hero of humanity rules peacefully over whatever is left intact of the new world at this point. And in the final video, we are going to take a look at the territorial gains of the Sorcerer Kingdom, its economic forecast and governmental structure. And with that said, I say thank you very much for watching, and special thanks to Adam J, Al Capone, Andy, Angel of Death, Bad Guy Yi, Boyzilla, Diabetic Centaur, Dystopia, Elika Birchleaf, Faily Skatus, Feral Shivan, Gigafight, Ghost of Epicness, Hector Marino, Black Phoenix Emperor, Hoss, Jason, Kleinator, Chromius, Large, Lord Touch Me, Lord Ulbert Elaine Odell, Luces Ollie, Majima, Matt, Matt C, Marcos, Mr. Shoes, Mindless Rev, Minnow 13, Mirtis, Nefiria's Potion, Primus 11, Sasuga Ainsama, Sebastian, Shadow Lightning Wolf, Surge, Sparkly Unicorn, the Orc Warboss, Rock Ad Smasher, Vash Hawkeye, Zoggo Bane of a Lot, and Zonagon. Thanks guys. Anyway, have a nice day, over and out.